According to the World Health Organization, around 1 in 6 people 60 years old and older experience some form of abuse in community settings during the past year. It happens in every community and is a critical public health issue, especially right here in Louisiana. Hello, I'm Denise Botcher. I'm AARP Louisiana State Director, and today is World Elder Abuse Day. I'm pleased to have two guests with me today, Paul Greenwood and Ralph Oneal, to talk about elder abuse and what we can do to identify it and better protect those we care for. Paul is a retired San Diego Deputy District Attorney where he headed up the Elder Abuse Protection Unit for 22 years. He now spends his time consulting on elder abuse cases and providing training to law enforcement and adult protective services across the country and internationally. He's also a consultant for AARP. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Denise.
Ralph is the founder of the American Elder Abuse Conference. He has over 33 years in public safety. He's retired as a lieutenant from the Phoenix, Arizona Police Department, retired as a California Highway Patrol Communications Specialist, and retired as the operations manager of the 911 Center at San Francisco International Airport. Welcome, Ralph.
Thank you, Denise.
So let's jump right in. Paul, tell us, what is elder abuse?
Well, it covers a whole umbrella of different type of conduct, Denise, and it states do vary in their definitions of what elder abuse is. Some states define it by the age of the victim, others by what is called the vulnerability of the victim. But it covers, obviously, the classic signs of physical abuse, slapping, pushing, hitting, verbal abuse, which includes emotional abuse. And then there is what we call isolation. There is neglect by caregivers. There is financial exploitation. And sometimes the hidden crime that not many people discuss is sexual abuse of older adults. So it really goes across a wide section of types of conduct.
And Paul, who are the usual perpetrators of this type of abuse?
Well, I do talk about this a lot because in my 22 years of prosecuting all kinds of those types of conduct that I just mentioned, in physical abuse cases, the number one profile that always popped up every week was the wayward son, the sort of 35-year-old to 55-year-old son living at home with a widowed mother who was addicted to either alcohol, gambling, or drugs, and as a result stole from his mother to feed his addiction. And when mother found out, she would confront him, and that's where the physical altercation would occur. Now, with other types of elder abuse, I couldn't give you a specific profile because, unfortunately, they range from the internet scammers who are very anonymous to professionals such as lawyers, realtors, next door neighbors, bogus contractors. Again, it covers a whole variety. And as a result, we have to be on our guard all the time because we never know who's going to be approaching us to try to maybe rip us off.
So if someone suspects some type of elder abuse, maybe someone they care for is experiencing elder abuse, what should they do?
Well, the first thing they should do is listen to their gut. If they think something looks wrong or out of place, to not hesitate to call adult protective services in their state, in their county, in their community. And if it's something which is urgent, not to be afraid to call either the non-emergency number or the 911 number for the local law enforcement agency for that jurisdiction. The worst thing we can do is say to ourselves, it's none of my business. I shouldn't get involved. We started a campaign, Denise, many years ago called Silence Isn't Golden. And so we really encourage folks not only to become educated about this problem, but if you see something, say something.
Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about the specific training that law enforcement gets to recognize this type of abuse of our older adults.
Well, this is the encouraging thing, because when I started out in 1996, there was no training for law enforcement. Now, several states have made it mandatory that when a police officer or a deputy sheriff comes into the academy, they have to receive training about elder abuse issues. And now there are such great resources out there, including one that I'm very proud of called EAGLE, which stands for Elder Abuse Guide for Law Enforcement, which can be found on the internet. Just type in Elder Abuse Guide for Law Enforcement and it will take you right to the tremendous resource. But in addition, there have been such phenomenal trainings. And I'm so glad that my colleague Ralph is here, because he's been spearheading so many trainings for law enforcement over the last few years, which never happened back when I started in 1996.
Yes, AARP has been a proud supporter of the conferences that Ralph has hosted. Ralph, thank you for your commitment to this issue and really educating all of us about elder abuse. Thank you so much. Ralph, tell us a little bit about the upcoming workshop that's coming up in Slidell.
Well, the workshop that we're doing is something we've been doing for about 8 or 9 years now. And it's normally done as part of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. This year, unfortunately, we couldn't get a date in June that worked. So it's being done July 12th in Slidell at the Harbor Center. But it's called It's Your Money, Keep It. And it's all designed around the idea of how do you avoid being a victim of frauds and scams? And it's a real workshop, a bread and butter workshop with the seniors, talking to them about the different types of scams that come their way, talking to them about the people that they would least likely like to have considered as a person who would steal from them. But unfortunately, the people who are most frequently those who do steal from them. Years ago, MetLife did a survey, and it's kind of become adopted as the baseline survey. And it resulted in an indication that 88% of all financial exploitation was committed by family members or closely trusted individuals. And when you consider that financial exploitation is about 2/3 of all reported cases of elder abuse, that means that about 65% of the financial exploitation is being committed by people on a frequent basis where they're victimizing their own family. And that's why Paul's comment about it's that mature son who's victimizing his widowed mother, or in many cases, grandmothers. And it's difficult for seniors to hear this. They don't want to believe that people they know and love would do this to them. And, I was a policeman. By background, education, training, I'm a policeman. So my whole thing was always about, well, let's go hook them up and book them. Mm. But the problem with that is that grandma doesn't want her grandson in jail. She just wants him to stop stealing from her. So what have we had to learn to do to train adult detectives, or in Louisiana, elderly protective services, law enforcement, and the caregivers and the medical people who are frequently in contact with this and may recognize this, to help them understand we're not always looking to prosecute, although that's always an option. What we're really trying to do is to protect the individual, to make it stop. And so the workshop is designed to help the seniors learn what the tools are that they can bring this to an end, who they can talk to, where they can look for support and assistance, and who's going to be willing to listen to when they call and make a report about this. And it's so often been a problem with law enforcement for so many years, where they would say, oh, this is just a family matter, it's a civil matter. Mm-hmm. And it's not, it's a crime. Right. Just plain and simple, it's a crime. And in Louisiana, it's almost always a felony. Louisiana has some of the best elder abuse laws in the country. They go back to 1993. This state was actually an early recognizer of this problem. And we have great laws, we need to make sure that we leverage those laws to protect the seniors. And again, not necessarily to always prosecute, but to cause people to stop doing what they're doing to seniors. And
Well, I'm all about that. Stop hurting, right? The people
yeah,
that we care for. So the It's Your Money, Keep It workshop will be in Slidell on July 12th. And where in Slidell, Ralph?
it's at the Harbor Center, which
Okay.
is just off of I-10. And it's a wonderful place. We've held our elder abuse conference there for years and years and years. And so what we'll do is we'll open the doors about 9 in the morning. People can come in, and PJ's Coffee is going to provide coffee and iced tea for them. And we'll have some breakfast snacks. And we'll get them all settled and in their chairs. And 10 o'clock, Paul will start his presentation. And he's going to do about 2 hours with a short break in the middle. And then we're going to cater a lunch for them from one of the local restaurants that does fantastic catering. And then we'll have a very short little presentation afterwards, and then some drawings for door prizes, and they'll be out the door and gone by about 2 o'clock.
Very good. And how can participants register for the conference?
There are 2 ways to do it. They can do it online by going to our website, which is running on the crawl underneath this, and that's www.elderabuseconference.org/events. And there's a link on there where they can register through Eventbrite. If they're not comfortable registering using a computer, they can call us at 985-809-5455. Leave us their name and phone number, and we'll call them back and confirm their registration.
Terrific. You've made it easy.
We tried to.
Well, thank you, Ralph and Paul, for joining me today for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day.
Yes, it is.
So I truly appreciate your time. This has been such a great conversation. And I'm a big proponent on checking on your neighbor. And so for those of you who are watching today, if your neighbor is elderly, just go over and check on them. Get to know them. They, I'm sure, would love to get to know you. So for more information on fraud, visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network at www.aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network, or call the AARP Fraud Watch Helpline at 1-877-908-3360. Also, next week, we'll be hosting a live town hall with Carmen Mion, CEO of the Better Business Bureau of South Central Louisiana, to discuss summer fraud trends. You don't want to miss that. So learn more. You can visit us at aarp.org/LA. Have a great day.
Thanks, Denise.